The following is an original production of AZPM News.
Arizona Science is supported by Research Corporation for Science Advancement.
For Arizona Public Media, I'm Tim Swindle, Professor Emeritus of Planetary Science at the University of Arizona, and this is Arizona Science. Joining me today is Joaquin Ruiz, the Director of Biosphere 2. Welcome, Joaquin.
Thank you so much for having me, Tim.
Joaquin, I've heard that there's a Biosphere 3 in the works. What does that mean? Are you building another habitat in the desert?
I love it. You have a way of putting things. We must remember that Biosphere 2 is a mechanical analog. Well, it's not an analog, but it's a model designed to understand Biosphere 1, which is the Earth, right? But now with the advent of artificial intelligence, we're creating a digital twin of Biosphere 2, which will help us with the weaknesses of Biosphere 2. And as an example, just did an experiment in the rainforest in which we dried it out. This is 2 years ago, for 6 months, asking the question, what's going to happen to our rainforests in the Congo or wherever when they dry out? And we got a whole bunch of really interesting information. And the first order information is that our rainforest in Biosphere 2 is way more resilient than anybody expected. But the power of Biosphere 2 is that we can separate variables like temperature from humidity. So if a tree dies, what did it? Is it mostly the temperature or mostly the humidity? That's the power of Biosphere 2. The weakness of Biosphere 2 is the rate of change. What happens if instead of 6 months of a deep drought, we would have been able to do 20 years? What would have happened to the rainforest then? So you get involved into the evolution and how the plants sort of acclimate and so on. That's what Biosphere 3 is supposed to do. Get us into the rate of change, as an example, bringing up hypotheses that we haven't even thought about, which is what AI is most powerful for. And we're quite excited about it. I mean, it's going to be a new way of thinking.
So is the idea to just kind of upload all of the data from Biosphere 2 and let an AI crank on it?
That's exactly right. Chat GPT of the Earth.
Okay. So does that mean that you'll be developing your own AI, or will you be using one of the existing AIs and just modifying it, or how does this work?
Oh, let me now get you into the deep ones. Biosphere 3 is actually going to be a company.
Okay.
And we've decided to do it that way so that not only can we use the power of universities in attracting money from foundations and so on, but also attract the power of bringing in money from industry that may be interested.
The thing that Biosphere 2 can do is to change variables that you might not be able to do in the real world, in Biosphere 1.
Right.
How will this change the way you change variables?
Again, that goes back to the thinking that the biggest power of AI is the collection of hypotheses that it actually brings to the table, using all the data available. So the experiments will change. And exactly how, I don't really know. I am sure, not hopeful, I am sure that we will be looking at some of our experiments in ways that we wouldn't look at otherwise using AI.
Now, AI, always people talk about the amount of servers, space, and storage and power that it requires. Will there be a special set of servers somewhere that will be running this?
We're looking at everything right now, right? Between servers that are going to be at the Biosphere, which are going to be perhaps connected by Starlink. We don't want to do too many things at once because that's one way of failing. But we've been having conversations about green data centers and making use of what we're trying to do here and create a small green data center that would be running on solar panels and perhaps agrivoltaics, trying to connect a whole bunch of stuff that we're doing together now.
How will this affect the research currently being done at Biosphere 2? Will you be doing things differently on a day-to-day basis in the different biomes, or is it just that you're collecting more data?
I think both. So, for example, in the case of the rainforest, we'll be collecting more and more data. We're starting a project in the desert, which would mimic what we did in the rainforest. What happens to the desert when you change variables, like when you change the water vapor or where you change the temperature, right? And we've been having these long conversations about the experiments that we want to create. And it all of a sudden becomes clear that one of the powers of Biosphere 3, artificial intelligence, is that it may actually help us design the best experiment because of the hypotheses that it'll come up with that we may not be thinking about.
Well, congratulations and good luck on Biosphere 3.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you so very much.
Our guest today has been Joaquin Ruiz, who has been discussing Biosphere 3, a new venture in green solutions for various problems using AI at Biosphere 2. This is Tim Swindle, and you have been listening to Arizona Science. You can hear more of this conversation and others on our Arizona Science segments by going to the AZPM podcasts at azpm.org.
Thank you to Research Corporation for Science Advancement for their support of Arizona Science.
This has been an original production of AZPM News.